Musa is a 16 years old who has been doing public speaking since middle school and finds enjoyment in presenting to everyone, especially on topics related to past versus future. His other hobby consists of reading, running, badminton, and spending time with family. Please welcome Musa.
Hi, everyone. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm 16, which basically means I've grown up in a world where technology was never really optional. It was always there, quietly shaping how we learn, how we communicate, and even how we see ourselves. And there's something interesting that I've noticed when people from different generations talk about technology. We often sound like we're talking about the same thing, but we're not. For some people, technology means their first computer, when email became normalized, or when you could finally search on the web at home. For others, technology means smartphones, social media, streaming, and the feeling that life is always happening on a screen somewhere. So today, I want to take a quick trip from the late 1990s, from when Gen Z first started, to now, and talk about what each major wave of technology gave us, what it took from us, and why understanding all of that matters. This is not a speech about why technology is good or bad, rather about how it changes humans and how we can respond more intentionally. So first, let's start with the late 1990s and the early 2000s, when the internet had first started becoming mainstream. This is a time in which the internet had become a normal part of everyday life. But it wasn't something that you carried with you. It was something that you went to, usually on a shared computer at home. This meant that being online was more limited, more deliberate, and more visible. The benefits of the era were enormous. Information became easier to access, communication became faster, businesses and education changed, and the world began to feel more connected. But there were also problems developing in the background. When information started being unlimited, the challenge stopped being, can I find an answer? And started becoming, how do I know what I find is actually true? The question has only gotten harder over time. Next, the mid-2000s to the mid-2010s, the always connected world. This next shift brought us faster internet, Wi-Fi, smartphones, and social media. This is where the internet stopped becoming a place where you visited and started becoming something that you constantly lived inside. Phones became cameras, maps, music players, calendars, and eventually the center of our social lives. And again, there were major positives. People stayed connected across distances. Communities formed around shared interests. Learning became more accessible. A teenager could teach themselves skills online that they had never learned before. But there was a new cost now. You see, social media didn't only connect people, it started also measuring people. Likes, views, and followers turned social interactions into things that we could count. And growing up, that changes the way you think, because it's easy to start treating your life like a performance, even if you never say it out loud. Instead of asking, is this meaningful to me? You start wondering what it would look like to other people. The result is that many of us became more connected, but that many of us also became more self-conscious. Now, the mid-2010s to now, smart everything and the rise of AI. In the last decade, technology has become more powerful, more personal, and less noticeable. Cloud computing, smart devices, mobile broadband, and now artificial intelligence have made it possible to work, learn, shop, and socialize from anywhere. And the benefits are real. We have tools that can help communicate across languages, access education, create control, and solve problems, create content, and in many ways, technology has made life efficient and more accessible. But we've also entered a world where digital life is not just a reflection of reality, it also actively shapes it. Algorithms decide what we see. Notifications compete for our attention. And now AI can generate texts, images, and videos so convincing that the line between real and fabricated is not always clear. This creates a new kind of pressure, not only figuring out what you believe, but figuring out whether what you are seeing is even trustworthy. So, what has technology done for humanity? I think the simplest way to answer it is this. It amplifies humanity. It amplifies our best qualities, creativity, learning, connection, innovation. But it also amplifies our weaknesses: distraction, insecurities, division, and misinformation. And one of the biggest changes now is that many of us are rarely offline. We can be reached at any moment. We can consume any content at any moment. We can compare ourselves to anyone at any moment. Humans were not designed to process endless information and to process endless social feedback. So when people feel overwhelmed, I think it's not always a personal failure. I think sometimes it's a predictable response to the environment that we have built. Let's put it all together. Different generations didn't just grow up with different devices. They grew up with different norms. Gen Z, the generation that I'm part of, has grew up with constant connection as the norm. And that can be amazing, but it can also be exhausting. This is why conversations about technology between different age groups can feel frustrating. It's not that one generation is smarter or weaker than the other. It's just that we were shaped by different versions of the world. Technology will keep advancing. That part's not optional. The real question is whether we develop the habits and values to keep up with the tools that we have created. So instead of only asking, what can this technology do? I think it's also important for us to ask, what can this do to us? Because the goal isn't to reject technology. The goal is to use it without losing ourselves, our attention, our relationships, and our sense of what is real. If we can do that, if we can combine innovation with responsibility, then the future doesn't have to feel so intimidating. It can actually be something that we shape on purpose. Thank you.